you've been involved with a traditional team before, somewhat, when we, in the early 2000s. But we've evolved from there. Give us kind of a rundown of what you have experienced in a traditional team or what you've noticed in a traditional team and what you like and don't like about it.
So traditionally, real estate team would just be several people coming together, and you typically have a lead person, someone who's in charge of the team, and then people work under them. I think that the really good part about having a team, especially if you are a newer broker, is having people at your side, having people you can lean on, having people you can learn from, and also getting business from that team. I think one of the downfalls is, especially if you have been in the business for a little while, is that now you are paying someone else to be a part of that team. And that's, I think, if you have experience and you can stand on your own, that always isn't a good fit for people, because then, you may be at that point off generating your business or doing your business on your own name, on what you can accomplish. And now you are still having to pay others for being a part of a team. So there can be some good things, I think. I think it's really good for newer people. I think if you have been in the business for a while, you're probably better off being on your own or being in a different type of a setting where you are actually contributing and benefiting from that. You can also benefit from a team, especially if you're new. Advertising, it can be very expensive to be in real estate. And we don't always, when we're starting out, have that kind of money or have that kind of exposure, have that kind of name that would draw people in to work with you. So I think that it can be, it can be good for somebody maybe new starting out. I think maybe if you are already a successful broker, you probably don't need a team.
A team per se, yeah. Mm-hmm. And there are those benefits there because they, the lure is, hey, I'm going to send you a bunch of business. You're new to this industry, so jump on my team. You're going to pay me a cut, and then I'm going to feed you some business. But things can go wrong with that, especially if you're not being fed business or you're not given the training. Now, Aspen, you actually built a successful team. I would say you were the instrumental cause of building a pretty good successful team at the last company you worked at. Now, obviously, there were owners there, and they were instrumental in that as well. But I would say that you really took the lead to building that. Share some thoughts on the pros and cons of what you experienced there.
I think, like Shannon said, one of the biggest pros is the owners, especially if the owners aren't licensed in the state that they own the company in, which is pretty common in a lot of places. Then you have someone that's not just the QB to be the first look over. So I know whenever I started at Coldwell, I would do my contracts and I would send it over to the office manager and then send it to the QB. So it's kind of like that middle step where the QB is not having to look over everything, more just like the final paperwork because they're seeing everyone in the company. So if the team lead can take some of that burden, not the final check mark, just the initial look over, I think that's really appealing to people. Something that's kind of, I would say, the biggest negative of a team, but you are paying, I essentially look at it as like you're paying for the training, but a lot of teams aren't the brokerage. So it's like a team within the brokerage. So you're having to pay a split to your team lead and you pay a split to the brokerage. So that can be a pretty hefty hit, especially if they're taking 25% for a buy side, 50% for a listing. It can really start to be heavy, but real estate is relatively inexpensive to get into compared to other businesses that you can own in regards to what you can make. So I think one of the really, get trained good, do it right from the beginning. I think that's one of the best things that you can do when you're starting.
So with what you've experienced, have you seen realtors that close deals and make less than 50% of the commission that they've brought in?
Yeah, I had met with this girl. I hadn't been licensed very long, maybe 2 or 3 years. And we went to lunch together just to kind of chat. And she'd been licensed a little bit longer than me. And we're all pretty open about I think especially when you first get started, you kind of want to see, well, what's your brokerage doing? So we had sat down for lunch and we were kind of talking about different pay. And she had mentioned what she had got paid that year. And I knew she had sold more than me. And it was less than half of what I made. And I said, no, that can't be right. This doesn't make sense. And she started telling me what she was making from her brokerage and where the splits were going on the team she was, and then what that was to the brokerage. And I think I don't know if she just didn't realize or hadn't done the math, or I don't know. But I was like, because she was talking about my brokerage, the splits being so high. That was what she kind of kept going on about. And I started doing the math for her. I was like, if you would have done at the same brokerage I am at, where the splits are high, you would have made it was like 150,000 more.
Wow.
It was it was not a small amount. It was, especially for a 20-something girl, because she had sold a lot, and she was like mind blown.
Holy cow.
She went and had a conversation with her
That's an
team lead.
Expensive mistake.
Yep. And they made some changes.
Yeah. Oh.
Because she loved her team, but I just don't know if she hadn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I really thought about the numbers outside of the team.
If she was just getting her paycheck and, not.
Yeah.